Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the GOW, the Generation Wrestling Podcast. I am the franchise, and with me, I have former U.S. Marine and current TNA star Steve Maclin. Steve, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for taking the time to join us today. And also, before we get started, I got to give you your flowers, man. Your history in the U.S. Marine Corps. I want to say thank you very much for your service, and man, much love to you. But let's get right into it, man. TNA, NXT. We have Showdown coming up. We had TNA running amok the last few weeks on WWE television. Talk to me, man. When you first heard that this whole thing was coming together, and seeing how the partnership has played out over the last year and a half or so. What are your thoughts, especially being somebody that came from WWE?
It's pretty cool and surreal just because it's been helping TNA with the rebrand since TNA became TNA Wrestling again, and then the partnership with WWE. It's just gotten a lot more eyes on the product, a lot more eyes on new talent, and talent like myself, Mike
Yeah,
Santana, Leon Slater, and just so many different people that you can watch on TNA Wrestling that the world doesn't know about. But for the working relationship, they've been winning our titles here for a little bit and talking a lot of trash. We weren't pretty big fans of that, and then we had to go around and slap them around in their own house.
absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of slapping around in our own house, like I said, man, for the last couple of weeks, we had you guys really standing firm, standing strong. And now, again, we have the whole showdown coming up. Now, you said Mike Santana, you talked about Leon Slater. Who's a guy or girl who you feel is flying under the radar for those who are casual wrestling fans or casual TNA fans? Maybe don't get the credit or the recognition, but you guys behind the scenes know all about them.
I would say a Jason Hotch in TNA Wrestling would be one. Jason Hotch, and then a Myron Reed, who just main evented at Victory Road with
Yeah.
Leon Slater as well, is another one of those talents where if you haven't watched them work, they're very talented individuals, very young, still have so much potential and mileage ahead of them. So the world is it's right there for them. So those are two names to check out.
Okay, okay. Well, speaking of, okay, so we just had you face Kazarian. You know, we didn't get the result necessarily that we wanted.
Did
But
not.
speaking of that match, you know, what is it like to be in the ring with a guy like Frankie? And what's next for you?
Well, egocentrical Frankie Kazarian, the self-proclaimed king of TNA with the biggest ego in the business, I feel in TNA. As it's great to share the ring with him for what he's done in TNA wrestling for so long, and for how good he is. And I don't think he's gotten his flowers for how underrated or just how another person, if anything, you could say he's under the radar as well for how good he's been for so damn long. But at the same time, he and I have been feuding for a little bit here, and it's us again for my rematch clause I put in. So it's going to be us at Bound for Glory for the TNA International Championship, and I look to walk out of BFG as the two-time TNA International Champion, and then I plan to go down to AAA and take on El Macias, who wanted to show up and stick his nose in my business at Victory Road.
Speaking of Bound for Glory, okay, so we got that, like you said, AAA. What has that relationship been like? Because not only are you guys collaborating with WWE, but of course WWE's ownership of TNA now. Excuse me, not TNA, AAA. How is that like? Because right now I feel like we're in like this weird wrestling multiverse, right? Where you're seeing companies partner together that you never thought. As a talent yourself, what is that like for you, knowing on any given Sunday, man, you could compete for championships literally at all these major promotions?
That's just it. Any given night, any given day of the week, you can go out there and win a title somewhere or just perform in another country, another company. And it's just getting more eyes on you as a talent. Like for me, being an international champion when I had it before I was screwed out of it this past Victory Road, but I plan to get it back at Bound for Glory. But for me, having that international title was just that. I wanted to go international with it. So that just opens up all those borders, all those opportunities, all those options of those what if matches. Now it's not a what if, it's a when.
We say going international. I want to kind of take it back. Speaking of competing in various places, man, Subway Mania. I gotta ask you
Hell
this:
yeah.
how does something? Okay, so I've been hip to Subway Mania for a while now. How does that even come about? Like, how did they approach you, or did you approach them? And what is it like actually wrestling on the subway in front of just random people?
Leave that one up to Ross, who kind of helped set that one up with our media. But it was really friggin' cool, man. Like to just be a part of that. Like I was coming down the subway, I'm like, this is. I had like some jitterbugs. I was like nervous, and they're all starting in the one train car, and I'm waiting in this other train car, and it was such a cool thing, and it's so cool to see wrestling that way on the other side because I grew up doing backyard wrestling.
Yeah.
So like now you have subway wrestling, which is just like surreal. I'm like, wow, this is wild, but it was fun because just the energy, the people that showed up as the fans, and then even just people riding the train that had no idea what's going on, and they're just there watching it. I can't imagine like coming home from work or going to work and like that happens on the train and like now you have a story to tell forever. And it's
So
just it's something. Subway Mania is something so cool, and I hope you go out of your way if you guys are listening to this, support Subway Mania, follow them. They do some really awesome things, and hopefully I could do something with them again.
so question for you. So it's actually like a shoot subway. It's a legit actual
Yeah, you're on a
subway.
moving subway train.
That is crazy. I didn't know if it was like a stage. So okay,
No, you're moving
wow.
on a subway train. Yeah,
That is wild. All right, well, look, man, we're gonna get back to the wrestling. Something else before we started on the show. I gave you your flowers, former United States Marine Corps veteran. Your podcast, man, Boost to Boost with your wife, Deonna Purrazzo, one of TNA's greatest. How did that come about? And what made you? What was your why? What was the reasoning for being so open and so vulnerable on this podcast to talk about the things you guys talk about?
my why is my wife, Deonna Purrazzo. She's every bit of just everything. She's my angel. She saved me in so many ways, and it's just the best thing in the world that she's in my life. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, is the best thing that ever happened to me, I should say. But for her, it's her idea because she calls it my superpower, my transition from going from combat boots to wrestling boots and how I was able to do that. And she wanted me to tell that story more and open up more about it. But then we kind of got together and realized, like, oh, wow, this is something everybody kind of goes through, that transition from not just the transition from the military into civilian world or into pro wrestling, but like everybody has that crossroads in their life. Whether you graduate from high school and you try to figure out what's next, is college for me? Is this for me? Do I want to go to the workforce? Like, do I want to find a trade? And everybody's trying to find their path. So that's what we're trying to do with this. In the first few episodes, episode 3, which just dropped this past Monday, the first 4 episodes kind of tells our story. And then once we get to episode 5, it's going to start getting into our guests. And that's what we want to do is we want to have those voices and those people to be heard on when they came to that crossroads in their own life and they can explain that because nobody talks about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a voice and it's an ear. And hopefully we can help people that way in some kind of form or fashion.
When it comes to combat, like you said, and I have several family that's been in the military as well. And coming from, an active war zone situation like that, where you legitimately got to make split second decisions, how much do you think that helps and enhances you in the ring as a talent? Well, maybe things kind of go off the rails or an injury or something happens, and you got to make a split second decision on the fly.
It's just being calm and trusting your basic instincts, and also just you rely on your training. And the Marine Corps is very similar. At least I'm sure the military in general, but the Marine Corps for me is very similar to pro wrestling, where you get to boot camp and they break you down to how to tie your shoes, how to put on a shirt, how to just every single how to shave properly. Like all the minute details that they teach you is the same when you step into a wrestling ring. How to get in a ring, how to get out of a ring, how to pick somebody up, how to walk in a ring, how to run the ropes properly, how to grab the ropes properly, and there's just so many things that go into it. So anytime something does go wrong, it's kind of having that cool, calm demeanor. But I also love when something goes wrong in wrestling, where it's a flub in a match or something that goes there. It's, all right, how are we gonna figure this out? Or it's just that's what makes it entertaining and ad libbed. But it's just you can't always expect everything to be perfect. And that's the one thing I think I take away from my military times. Nothing's ever going to be perfect in life. And it's the same in pro wrestling in a ring in a match. And it's the same anywhere in life. Nothing will ever be perfect. So you have to just adapt and just go with it.
Speaking of perfect, I know the military, any form of law enforcement is very regimented, right? You have a structure. Do you have any habits that you carry from the military over to the wrestling world before you prepare for a match, or are there rituals or routines you strictly abide by day in and day out before a match?
I would say like I'm pretty I'm pretty good at just kind of narrowing down everything for a match, especially if it's a multi-man match. I want to talk with everyone and we know everybody's role, everybody what's going on, have a backup plan if something does happen, and just kind of have that breakdown of like before you're about to step off patrol. That's the same thing of going through that curtain. It's like I'm trying to take care of everything that I know I can take care of now. If this happens, we can do this. If this happens, we can do this. But then sometimes it's gonna not happen that way. But at least you're prepared in that way. So if anything, that's one thing that I've taken a lot from my time in the military and deployments and being in combat to bring it into the wrestling world.
Okay, well, speaking of wrestling, let's get back to wrestling. So we got Bound for Glory coming up. Obviously, like you said, you got your rematch coming up. What other match on the card, if you can only choose one, if you had to tell somebody this is why you should watch Bound for Glory, what match would that be?
Oh, that's tough because there's a few up there that I want to watch. But for me, for being the little kid that I still am, is watching the Dudleys Team 3D versus the Hardys
Yeah.
in one last table match. just because I remember watching the Royal Rumble 2000 in the Garden, and that tables match just kind of changed everything. And then it turned into TLC, and it's like you're seeing this again 25 years later, and here I am in the locker room with them, sharing the locker room, talking to them as mentors, and like getting advice from them, and hanging out after shows and talk. Like it's just it's so weird for me, but to have those moments because it's just cool to step back and realize that wow, I have an awesome job that I do for a living. This is really cool. But that I would say that is the one at BFG to watch. But then also I could say Leon Slater versus Evans, and just that's another one that I think could steal the show, or that even Mike Santana getting the world title back from Trick Williams. I know he's been going after that, so it's just there's so many big matches on this card, and it's a not miss card if anything that night on the TNA Plus app. If you can't be there, but if you are there in person, it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be one hell of a night, the biggest night in TNA history.
I'm ready. I'm really excited. Speaking of big night, we said it already, but of course, we got Showdown coming up next week. Speaking of the Hardys, they have a chance to defeat Dark State and bring home another set of titles. So again, with this, is there if you could be a double champion per se or a triple champion, what's another title you got your eyes on if you could call your shot outside of the
Well,
obvious?
I would be going after the North American champion in NXT, Ethan Page.
Okay.
Hopefully Ali gets that at Showdown. I
Yeah.
hope he does. If he doesn't, I'd love to claim next on that one after I get my international championship back at Bound for Glory. Have an international champion versus North American champion.
Winner takes all.
Why not?
I love it. I
I'll
love it.
bet on myself every day. I've done it every day since I got let go from WWE, and it's worked out pretty well for being a former world champion and former TNA international champion.
Speaking of betting on yourself, when did you go from I'm a fan that made it into wrestling to I'm meant to be here in wrestling? Like, when was that moment for you, or was there an interaction you had where you're like, you know what, I'm here, I'm meant for this?
Probably after one of my either my first or second independent match, because I was enjoying training and I was very focused on it. My dad came to a match, and he instantly afterwards, he goes, "You would love this, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yes, sir." And he's like, "Go after it." He's like, "Give every bit of this to this business if you're gonna do it." He's like, "You won't work a day in your life," because I grew up a fan, and there's a complete difference of being a fan and there's being a talent and
Yes.
trying to perfect this craft. But at the same time, I never want to lose that fan inside of myself, just because I still love pro wrestling. I love going to shows on the independents. I love watching all the matches, just because I want to see something different. I want to see what's going to entertain me, and it's a lot of fun. And it's the greatest job I've ever had in my entire life.
Steve, I know we got to wind down. I know we got to get out of here. Before we get out, though, I want to play a fun little game with you. It's really lighthearted. Word association. I'm going to give you 5 words or phrases. You just say
Okay.
the first thing that comes to your mind, and then we're good to go, okay?
Okay.
All right, first word, Mr. Anderson.
Father.
Leon Slater.
Potential.
Mustafa Ali.
I want to say it. My vernacular isn't the best sometimes.
No worries.
He carries himself so well. If that there
I got 2 more for
has
you.
a presence, if anything, presence.
Okay. Steve Maclin,
Bulletproof.
TNA.
Wrestling.
Love it. Love it. Steve, first of all, I want to say thank you once again so much for taking the time to join us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Bound for Glory, October 12th. Make sure you check it out. Lowell, Massachusetts. We got our guy here on the card. Also, next week, we have TNA NXT Showdown as well. It's going to be a banger. Make sure to get your tickets, buy it on pay-per-view, or watch it on the TNA Plus app. Again, Steve, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me. And if you don't follow me at Steve Maclin on Instagram and on X, and also Boots to Boots Podcast or Boots to Boots Pod on TikTok, and also follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube.
And after this, I'll make sure to drop all of that in our description. So make
Thank
sure you guys do that. Steve, I'll talk to you soon.
you very much.
Thank you.